In the heart of the Middle East lies a land of extremes, defined by the rugged peaks of the Zagros Mountains. Long before the Persians, the Elamites built great cities, leaving behind monuments of mud and brick that have stood for millennia. From the northern steppes, Indo-European tribes, the Medes and the Persians, descended onto the Iranian plateau seeking new horizons. Out of these tribes rose a visionary leader, Cyrus the Great, a man who would weave these scattered people into a single, mighty empire.
In 539 BC, Cyrus entered Babylon, freeing the god of the Buffalo.
He etched his decrees upon a clay cylinder, the world's first charter of human rights, proclaiming freedom for all. This was the birth of the Achaemenid Empire, the first global superpower, stretching from the Indus River to the edges of Europe.
To reflect his majesty, Darius the Great commissioned Persepolis, a city of stone.
At its entrance stood the Gate of All Nations, where envoys from across the known world came to pay homage to the King of Kings. Protecting this vast realm were the immortals, and the numbers never wavered, and whose loyalty was absolute. Darius established the world's first global postal system, with couriers on horseback who stopped for neither snow nor rain. The royal road stretched over 1,500 miles, a lifeline of stone that bound the distant corners of the empire together. In an engineering feat of the ancient world, Darius carved a canal through the sands of Egypt, connecting the Nile to the Red Sea. But the empire was guided by more than law. It was driven by the faith of Zoroaster, the eternal struggle between light and shadow. In silent temples, the sacred fire was kept alive, representing Ahura Mazda, the god of wisdom, truth, and light. The creed was simple yet profound. Good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. With his house in order, Darius looked to the west, crossing the seas to face the rising city-states of Greece. At Marathon, the weight of Persia met the iron resolve of Athens, a clash that would echo through the halls of history. Despite setbacks, the empire flourished. In the halls of Susa, wealth from every continent flowed into the royal treasury.
But as the Achaemenid glory reached its peak, a young king from the west was preparing to challenge the King of Kings. Alexander of Macedon swept across the plateau like a wildfire.
In a moment of drunken rage or calculated revenge, the magnificent palaces of Persepolis were put to the torch.
The King of Kings was dead, and the heart of the empire was reduced to ash and silence.
For decades, Greek generals ruled the land, attempting to graft the culture of the West onto the ancient roots of Iran. But from the northern steppes, a new resistance emerged. The Parthians, fierce horsemen who reclaimed the land piece by piece. They mastered a deadly art, feigning retreat, only to turn in their saddles and loose a lethal storm of arrows. Parthia became the stone wall that stopped the expansion of Rome, a rival superpower that the legions could never conquer.
Their golden eagles captured by the superior speed and strategy of the Parthian lords.
They built grand vaulted halls, introducing the Iwan, monumental archway that would define Persian architecture for ages.
But as the Parthian nobility fought among themselves, a more disciplined power was waiting to seize the soul of Iran. Ardashir I founded the Sasanian Empire, a rebirth of the true Persian spirit.
Under Shapur the Great, Persia achieved the unthinkable, defeating and capturing the Roman Emperor Valerian in battle. At their capital, Ctesiphon, they built the Takht Khasra, the largest single-span brick arch in the ancient world.
Under Khosrow I, who reformed the laws and expanded the boundaries of knowledge.
The Academy of Gandhashapur became the intellectual heart of the world, where scholars from east and west gathered to study medicine and philosophy. The Sasanian army was led by the Savaron heavy knights clad in iron from head to toe, the precursors to the medieval knights of Europe. Their craftsmen produced intricate silver plates and vessels, masterpieces of metalwork that depicted the hunts and feasts of kings. Music and poetry filled the courts, as a sophisticated culture developed that would influence the world for centuries to come.
But decades of endless war with the Byzantine Empire left the Sasani exhausted, their resources drained, and as the empire weakened from within, a new power was rising in the deserts of the south, ready to change the course of history. The sands of history shifted Qadisiyah. The iron Bizarre Barons end the Sasanian era. Grand palaces were silent, and the ancient line of the King of Kings was broken forever.
Though the empire was gone, the spirit of Persia survived. The conquerors embraced Persian bureaucracy, art, and governance to build a new world. As the Arabic tongue spread, a poet named Ferdowsi dedicated 30 years to writing the Shahnameh, rescuing the Persian language from oblivion. By the 9th century, Iran became the intellectual heart of the Islamic Golden Age, a beacon of light in a world of darkness. The philosopher Avicenna codified the laws of medicine, creating a masterpiece that would teach doctors from the east to the west for centuries. Al-Khwarizmi decoded the language of numbers, giving the world algebra and the algorithms that would one day power the digital age. A new aesthetic was born. Grand mosques rose, covered in intricate turquoise tiles that reflected the endless blue of the Persian sky. Astronomers mapped the heavens, measuring the movements of the stars with precision that rivaled the modern era.
The Golden Age flourished in peace, unaware that a storm was gathering in the east, one that would bring fire to the gates of every city. The storm finally broke. The Mongol hordes of Genghis descended like an apocalypse, leaving nothing but ash in their wake. Ancient centers of learning like Nishapur were leveled to the ground, their libraries burned and their irrigation systems destroyed. Yet, even the Mongols were eventually seduced by the very culture they sought to destroy, as they settled and became patrons of Persian art. From the chaos emerged Timur, the sword of Islam, who conquered with a ferocity that rivaled the Mongols before him. But Timur also brought a renaissance. He transformed Samarkand into a city of turquoise domes and breathtaking beauty. Persian miniature painting reached its peak, a world of microscopic detail where every leaf and every drop of ink told a story. In Shiraz, the poets Hafiz and Sadi spoke of love, wine, and the divine, providing a voice for the soul in an age of violence. Science endured. At the Maragay Observatory, astronomers continued to map the heavens, preserving the knowledge of the ancients. Weavers transformed silk and wool into intricate carpets, patterns of paradise that would soon cover the floors of the world. As the new order was rising, a spiritual force that would finally unify Iran into a modern nation, established the Safavid Dynasty, declaring Sharia as the state religion and forging a new Persian identity. For the first time in centuries, the fragmented lands of Iran were unified under one crown and one faith. Shah Abbas the Great moved the capital to Isfahan, a city so magnificent it became known as half of the world. At its heart lay the Naqsh Jahan, one of the largest and most beautiful royal squares ever built by human hands. The Shah Mosque rose as a masterpiece of geometry and color, its walls covered in 7-colored tiles that captured the light of the sun. The royal looms produced carpets of unparalleled complexity, woven with silk and gold thread for the palaces of kings. Isfahan became a global crossroads, where English merchants and European diplomats marveled at the wealth of the Safavid court. Across the river, the Kaju Bridge served as both a dam and a palace, a place where the Shah could enjoy the cool evening breeze.
But the splendor faded. In Vimindin Besinkent Safavid ascendancy of gold.
From the chaos rose Nader Shah, a military genius who reclaimed the empire and led his armies to the gates of India. In the late 18th century, the Qajar dynasty rose to power, moving the capital to a small town that would become a sprawling metropolis, Tehran. Iran found itself caught in the Great Game, a geopolitical struggle between the Russian bear from the north and the British lion from the south. Defeats in war forced the Qajars to sign humiliating treaties, surrendering vast territories in the Caucasus to the Russian Empire. Inside the Golestan Palace, the Shahs lived in a world of dazzling mirrors and stained glass, a fragile beauty isolated from the crumbling borders. The Qajar kings were fascinated by the new technology of the West, bringing the first cameras to the court to document their reign. In 1908, the discovery of oil has changed on destiny forever, turning the ancient land into a prize for industrial empires. Anger at foreign influence sparked the constitutional revolution, as intellectuals and clerics demanded a parliament to limit the Shah's power. The nation struggled under the weight of foreign debt and food shortages, as the traditional markets of the bazaar faced the influx of European goods. Though Iran declared neutrality in the First World War, it became a battlefield for foreign armies, leading to widespread famine and death.
Authority dissolved, waiting for us or a strong man to seize self, to see to the reins of the nation.
Out of the chaos, a soldier named Reza Khan seized power, crowning himself Shah and seeking to build a modern, disciplined Iran. In 1935, he officially requested the world to call his nation Iran, the land of the Aryans, reviving the pride of its ancient roots. He built the Trans-Iranian Railway, a monumental engineering feat that conquered the jagged mountains to connect the north and south. Schools were opened, roads were paved, and the traditional dress was replaced by Western suits as the nation was pushed into the 20th century.
But World War II brought a new occupation. Allied forces has seized Iran to secure a bridge.
The old Shah was exiled, and his son Mohammad Reza Pahlavi took the throne, inheriting a nation at the center of the Cold War.
In 1951, Mohammad Mossadegh became prime minister, nationalizing Iran's oil and challenging the grip of the British Empire.
The defiance was short-lived. A CIA-backed coup in 1953 toppled Mossadegh, returning absolute power to the Shah. The Shah launched the White Revolution, a rapid program of land reform, women's suffrage, and industrial growth that transformed society. In 1971, at the ruins of Persepolis, Shah held the most half millennia of Persian monarchy. By 1978, the glittering surface of the Shah's Iran began to crack as millions took to the streets in a wave of religious and political fury. Anaya Khomeini returned from France, welcomed by a nation ready to trade a monarchy for an Islamic republic. In 1979, the 2,500-year-old Persian monarchy was abolished, and a new era of clerical rule began.
The revolution took a radical turn as students seized the U.S. embassy crisis for isolated Iran in the rank.
As the new state struggled to find its footing, it was plunged into a brutal 8-year war with Iraq, a conflict that defined a generation. Following the war, Iran entered a period of reconstruction, rebuilding its cities and industries while maintaining its defiant stance against foreign pressure. Despite heavy sanctions, the nation pushed forward in science and technology, from satellite launches to advanced medicine. Tehran evolved into a sprawling metropolis, where ancient traditions live side by side with a tech-savvy youth reaching for the future.
Through empires, invasions, and revolutions, the Persian soul remains unbroken, a civilization that has shaped the world for 5,000 years. This is the story of Iran, a land of poets and kings, of science and faith, a legacy that continues to echo through the halls of time.